The voice of the drum calls. It sings a song of those who came before us and those to come. A song of survival and strength. A song of participation and voice. A song that calls us together. When we come together and participate in the 2010 census, we use this tool as the voice of all our Native people. Our voice. It is in our hands. 2010 census.
This edition of the Native News Update on this Friday, March 26th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories read here today can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. Here are the news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The death of the government's top witness in the Four Corners artifacts trafficking investigation has forced prosecutors to reevaluate how they will present thousands of hours of taped evidence he gathered during a 2-year undercover operation. Ted Gardner, 52, shot himself March 1st, just weeks before he was to testify at a trial for the first time in the case he started building in 2008 for the FBI, the U.S. Bureau of Land Management, and the U.S. Attorney for Utah. Government attorneys have affirmed that the felony prosecution against the remaining 22 defendants will continue. But legal experts says Gardner's death gives defendants an opportunity to squelch the tapes under the Confrontation Clause of the Sixth Amendment, which guarantees the right of the accused in criminal actions. Recent U.S. Supreme Court rulings written by conservative Justice Antonin Scalia have broadened defendants' rights by curtailing cross-examination exemptions. The Seneca Nation of New York has written to President Barack Obama asking him to veto a bill that would prohibit cigarette shipments through the mail. The Western New York tribe dominates the internet cigarette market and depends on the post office for shipping. In his letter, Seneca President Barry Snyder wrote that the mailing ban will kill 3,000 tobacco-related jobs in New York and subject tribal members to racial profiling when they mail packages. Following the Senate's lead, Congress approved the measure March 17th, sending it to the president's desk. Nearly 1,000 people in Neah Bay, Washington mourned the death of Edward Eugene Claplanhoo last week, a leader of the Seneca Nation who left his mark on the tribe. Claplanhoo passed away of a heart attack on March 14th at the age of 81. Under his leadership, he helped create the Seneca Culture and Research Center in Neah Bay after the Ozetta village was uncovered during a dig. Claplanhoo was the chairman when the village buried in a mudslide in the 1700s was uncovered. Lobbying lawmakers and researchers and Claplanhoo managed to maintain tribal artifacts in Neah Bay with the opening of the Culture Center. The chairman was the Seneca's first college graduate, earning a degree in forestry in 1956 from the Washington State College, now Washington State University. Claplanhoo also served in the Army. Fed up with growing gang violence, Montana tribal leaders this month will start the first ever American Indian Reservation chapter of the Guardian Angels, the new chapter of the Citizens Crime Watch Group, whose members are known by their red berets in New York, Chicago, and other U.S. cities, will begin training about 50 recruits in the rural Fort Peck Indian Reservation. The sprawling reservation on the plains of eastern Montana is home to 6,000 of the approximately 10,000 enrolled members of the Assiniboine and Sioux tribes. Chauncey Whitwright III, vice chairman of the Wolf Point Community Organization, said the children of the 3,200 square mile reservation are vulnerable to gangs that have crept in from the outside. Other Montana tribes, including the Blackfeet, Rocky Boys, Crow, and Northern Cheyenne, report the same problem. Whitwright said, and he hopes the new Guardian Angels chapter will eventually expand its programs and patrol and give teens there an alternative. The U.S. Department of Justice is seeking the help of students to identify American Indians who might be victims of radiation exposure. Congress passed the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act in 1990, authorizing funding for people who work in the uranium mining industry or nuclear weapons testing between 1942 and 1971 and contracted cancer or other diseases from radon exposure. Most applications are filed by people living in the Four Corners region, but American Indian tradition and customs have made successful claims rather difficult. Students can hear more about the part-time internships at Northern Arizona University on March 29th, the University of New Mexico in Gallup on March 30th, and at Dene College in Shiprock, New Mexico on March 31st. United Tribes Technical College is hosting a conference later this month on opportunities for developing green energy programs and initiatives on reservations. The information and training session for tribal personnel is set for March 30th on the Bismarck campus. The free conference is sponsored by the Office of Indian Energy and Economic Development and the United Tribes Native Energy Auditor Program. Plans to build a casino at the former Great Lakes Downs horse track are moving forward. Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm and the tribal government of the Little River Band of Odawa Indians recently announced an agreement that represents a major step in an effort for a casino in Muskegon County's Fruitport Township. The Muskegon Chronicle and the Ludington Daily News both report that 2 amendments to the tribe's current gambling compact have been agreed upon. The effort also needs approval from the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs. A third amendment needs approval from the State House and the Senate. The Little River Band already operates a casino in Manistee, Michigan. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for stopping by. Stop by again soon. Miigwech. Are we recording now? Ay, ay, ay. All right.